What's good? How y'all doing this evening?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the FILA Sports Podcast Wednesday edition, which means it's Rivalry Week, which means we are talking college football. It's your boy, Coach Mario, and my co-host, the man known as the Don. What's going on, Don?
What's good? How y'all doing this evening? It's Don. We back tonight. I know we was here for 3 hours last night talking about the Falcons. So we back tonight talking college football with you guys. Everybody in the chat was good. Glad y'all could join us. Oh man, really?
No, we're ignoring them. I was about to tell him now. We're talking college football. I already see it too, though.
hey, he can talk some LSU football if he want to, man. That's fine with me. But
you can bring up
any college football you want to, man. It's college night, man. Time to get these kids his props. But anyway, if y'all new to the channel, y'all already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button, share this content out with other Georgia college sports fanatics, and hit us up in the comment section. As always,
come holla
at your hometown sports podcast. All right,
crazy.
So we got a special guest on with us tonight. We got Will Campbell. How you doing this evening, man?
Yo, what's up, guys? How's it going?
It's great,
going
man.
Good, man. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming on. Taking time out of your busy schedule. Yeah. Well, tell them a little bit about you, Will. First of all.
Hey, yeah. So I went to UVA. Graduated in 2009. I now live in Columbia, South Carolina. So I'm a Southern guy. Like I was telling the boys, I'm an Atlanta fan through and through, like y'all. Just not a Georgia Tech fan. So sorry about that. Went to UVA. I now write for streakingthelawn.com. We are SB Nation blog. So if you want some UVA stuff in your life, go check us out there.
Okay. You live in Gamecock country now, huh?
I do, and they are just as annoying as Clemson fans. So I hope USC and Clemson loses every game every year. So everybody asks me why, but I mean, if I'm not having joy in my life, I don't want other people to have joy in their lives either. So I just cheer.
That's part
cheer against Gamecocks, and I cheer against the Tigers.
Hey, that's part of being a fan right there, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
You don't like this one.
Trust me, I hate Ohio State. I hate the Saints. I hate the Nationals. I hate the whole NL East. I hate the whole NL East. I hate the Wizards. I hate the Magic. I keep going. I don't hate Orlando City on far as soccer because ain't nothing to hate on them. They ain't did nothing. So
yeah, surrounded by Panthers fans too. So I gotta take that in the NFL side also.
Oh man,
I just like Saints, Cowboys, Ohio State, Notre Dame. I want them to lose
every game.
Hey man, I want them to lose when they wake up.
Yeah. I feel you.
Everybody, I must apologize in advance because in a few minutes in the show, my dog is going to go crazy. So hopefully it'll be a part where I can mute and you guys can talk. I have to apologize in advance.
All right. So go ahead. Let's go ahead and run down the notes.
Last week in college football, well, unless you were under a rock, you know that Georgia beat Florida 24-17 down in Jacksonville. That brought Georgia to 7-1, looking like they're in the driver's seat for the SEC East. Matter of fact, they take on Missouri Saturday. Missouri's 5-3. The winner of this game. Well, if Georgia wins this game, they will represent the SEC East in the SEC championship game. Man, that was tough to say. Wow. The game's at 7 p.m. It's on ESPN. So, like I said, Georgia and Missouri Saturday. Georgia Southern got the win. That was actually last Thursday, Halloween night. They went up to App State, got the win, knocked off undefeated App State 24-21. Saturday they take on Troy. That's another conference game. That is at 3:30 on ESPN Plus, and Georgia Southern's at 6-2. I'm sorry, Georgia Southern's at 5-3 now.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia State is sitting at 6-2. They take on Louisiana Monroe Saturday, 5 p.m. ESPN Plus. Georgia State is coming off a bye. So they take on Louisiana Monroe. That's a conference game. They should be able to get by them. And It's looking like we're gonna come up with a showdown, Don.
I'm
with
telling
Georgia
you,
State and Georgia Southern. It could work out where it could come down for a winner of the Sun Belt.
Sun Belt,
At the Sun Belt,
man. I'm thinking about
Southern division of the Sun Belt.
You know what? I'm thinking about just going. I know Michigan and Ohio State play that weekend, but man, I got to see this live. I need to see this.
Hey,
I don't even want to go.
Shaping out to be a nice little rivalry.
I don't even want to go and just cover the game. I want to go as a fan. I want to sit in the stands.
Yeah,
you know, I don't have an allegiance to either team. You know, I cover Southern, but at the same time, I just as a football fan, I just want to see this.
Yeah,
I just want to witness the smoke.
Georgia State is hot right now. Georgia State is hot right now. Actually, both teams are running the football. Georgia State and Georgia Southern actually are both running the football very well right now.
But both of them going to be bowl eligible. Both of them bowl eligible. So. That's
Georgia
good.
State still have to show up the defense a little bit though. Georgia State still giving up a few too many points.
You know the problem is, man. You know what? How they can fix the defense? They get some of those Stevenson guys, man.
Hey, look. See, I promise you, I hadn't even figured out a way how I was gonna work Stevenson into the conversation today. I promise you, I hadn't figured it out yet. I'm gonna find a way though.
You need to have Stevenson sponsor our shows, man.
What you mean? I'm Booster Club president. We can do that. I can do that. I don't have to ask nobody. Kennesaw State lost last week. They lost to Monmouth. Kennesaw State, Monmouth is undefeated in the conference. They lost 45-21, and it doesn't get any easier for Kennesaw State because they take on Campbell Saturday at 1 p.m. and Campbell is undefeated in conference play too, so they definitely need to win this game. Then they need Monmouth to lose, and Campbell, so Kennesaw State, they had their toughest games back to back. So they lost last week and they have another one tough one this week. They definitely need to win this week, or they definitely won't be able to win the conference. They're still having a really good season. They just had their toughest two conference opponents back to back, and they're on the road, so their schedule just went in their favor this year. Valdosta State coming off a bye. They're 8-0. They take on West Florida Saturday, and that will be a big game. West Florida is undefeated in conference play, so the winner. This is pretty much the conference championship.
Yeah.
So it's working out. So Valdosta State is working out.
Valdosta right now, they currently the undefeated team in the state right now. Savannah State, ain't they still undefeated? That's what we need to be talking about, man. Savannah State. Why you got Savannah State?
Well, hold on. It's interesting that you mentioned Savannah State because Savannah State's starting sophomore quarterback. Guess where he went to school at, Don?
Oh, dang. I should never brought that up, man. I swear.
Thank you for giving me a way to work Stevenson in. Thanks, Don.
Oh,
you made it easy for me.
Y'all taking over the whole doggone state, man.
But no, seriously, though, back to Kennesaw State, though. I'm sorry, back to Valdosta State. So this is workout for the conference championship Saturday. So Valdosta State definitely needs to win. Morehouse lost 15-21 to Albany State. They're 3-6. They take on Clark Saturday. They always end with Clark. The end of the season, Clark is winless on the season. Last Saturday, Clark played Benedict. They lost 7-31. And obviously, like I just said, they take on Morehouse Saturday. You think that game was a big rivalry, but even though they're right across the street from each other, I went to Morehouse. It's really pretty boring because it's really boring. It's not that big of a rivalry because both teams are bad, so it's not that big of a rivalry like people probably would think there would because the schools are so close. It's not that big of a rivalry. But that brings us to the topic at hand. Georgia Tech last week lost to Pitt 10-20. No, they're competitive now, man. What I'm saying? Just got to foul in the passing game. The defense is playing better at Tech. Obviously we know the offense is a struggle with the offensive line. Saturday they have Virginia, 12:30. That'll be on the Fox Southeast channel. Virginia's sitting at 6-3. Virginia is leading the Coastal right now, and that's going to bring us to the topics that we're going to talk about tonight. And since we already want to go out of order a little bit, it looks like Virginia is going to win the Coastal.
Oh man, don't say that. Don't jinx that. We don't need that on this. No.
Rat poison?
Why?
Yeah. UVA is leading the Coastal right now. UVA is not certain to win the Coastal. I mean, y'all know just as well as I do that how much Coastal chaos. And
For real.
if you know anything about UVA, is that if something is certain, it is anything but certain. I would not be surprised if they drop like their last 2 ACC games just to crush all of our hearts. So I refuse to say that UVA is going to win the Coastal. UVA is leading the Coastal, but they are not anywhere near winning the Coastal right now.
Well, I guess I'm a little bit more optimistic than you because I fully expect that Virginia will win the Coastal.
Okay,
So,
well, I appreciate.
I guess you're really not going to like my next question, though, because my next question was going to be when they represent the Coastal.
That's fair. Okay.
When they represent the Coastal in the ACC championship game, can they beat Clemson?
Oh, good Lord, no. 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 And we can talk about this. No. Whoever wins the Coastal, I have fully accepted them being a sacrifice to Dabo and the Clemson machine that he has built there. That UVA or Pitt or whoever comes out of the Coastal, like last year, has just no chance whatsoever. I mean, Vegas will probably set the line at like Clemson minus 23.5 or something like that, and I fully expect Clemson to throttle whoever it is, just because they'll have to win that game by a lot to get the playoff committee to say, yeah, they're good enough, because they haven't played anybody this year.
Oh, so you don't see any chinks in the armor with Clemson? No chance. It's a slaughterhouse, huh?
I mean, when you have 4s and 5 stars at literally every position and you just run a machine, I mean, yes, they've been in tight games this year, and UNC's shown that they are beatable. But I don't know, man. It would take a lot for a team like UVA to punch up and stay competitive for a full 60 minutes against those guys.
Yeah. What you think, Don? First of all, Don, do you think that Virginia is going to represent the Coastal, and do you think whomever represents the Coastal can challenge Clemson?
Look, man.
So
Virginia, I think Virginia has a good chance of representing the Coastal. I think right now Will has that Atlanta sports syndrome. He's carrying it over to UVA. You know, like we don't want to. You know, we don't want to be gassed up. You know how it is at the beginning of the season. You know, preseason predictions and stuff. Like, if somebody have us, you know, as favorites to win a division or whatever, we say, "Oh man, why y'all do that?" Now we definitely ain't gonna win. So am I lying, Will?
No, you're 100% true, man. 100% true.
Virginia is gonna represent the Coastal.
Yeah, Virginia's gonna represent the Coastal because, like, but here's the thing: in the ACC championship, come on now, y'all ain't winning. I'm just gonna be honest. And here's the thing, you know, as far as with UVA fans right now, look, y'all just won the national championship in basketball, so I'm pretty sure y'all satisfied. Y'all ain't really worried for real, to be honest.
Yeah, shout out DeAndre Hunter.
Yes, DeAndre Hunter. Yes, I was gonna bring him up earlier, but hey, I was gonna bring him up later in the show, but hey.
I mean, like you said, it's all gravy this year. We're coming off that basketball title after what happened the previous year, which we don't need to talk about either. But winning the title this year gave us a lot of momentum. And honestly, with what Mike London did in the last 12 years, we think anything over like 6 wins a year is gravy. So, I mean, if they end up the season with a 9-3 record, even if they get slaughtered by Clemson and they still make like the Music City Bowl or something, it's still going to be a winning season for us, and we'll gladly accept that, because Bronco Mendenhall has honestly worked a miracle in his 4 years so far in Charlottesville.
Okay. Hey, thanks everybody in the chat for joining us. Sports Live and ATL joined us. Thanks.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Look, I already subscribed to your channel on my personal account, and I watch your shows and everything on a very good basis every time you put something out there. But I sure will, in the next video that you put out, I will comment. That way you know who I am. And then I believe this channel has subscribed to your channel. I'm gonna check. If we're not, we will subscribe at the end of the show.
I got you too from my personal account too. I got you too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how about maybe something that is a little more pleasant to talk about then, Will?
Sure.
You guys, quarterback. He's coming off an all ACC performance, threw for a whole bunch of yards, ran for a whole bunch of yards. I actually got a chance to see him last year because when they played last year in Atlanta, I went to the game, and he sprained an ankle or sprained a knee or something, and he came back in the game and he was still playing really effective. And I was like, hey man, this kid's pretty good.
Yeah.
What does he mean to the team, man? What does Bryce Perkins mean to the team?
I do not undersell this when I will tell y'all that Bryce Perkins is the entire Virginia offense. I am not lying when I say that. I mean, like you said, last week he threw for 378 yards and he ran for 112. And that was he ran for 112 on 24 carries. Honestly, it's frustrating with how much they are putting on his shoulders because, I mean, he is the entire offense, and when Bryce doesn't have a good game, that means Virginia's offense doesn't have a good game, and it becomes immensely frustrating. So coming into the year, Bryce was thought of as maybe the second best quarterback in the conference behind Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, Wake has some good quarterbacks, and Bryce has carried this team to their 6-3 record so far. You can take a look at, if you go back and look at the Notre Dame game that Virginia played in late September. He got sacked like 8 times, and he was kind of struggling, and that was the sole reason why they didn't stay in that game longer and maybe even win. The defense was able to hold Notre Dame down for a while, but when Bryce is taken out of the game, UVA's offense is taken out of the game, and if the defense can't hold a team to 14 or less points, that usually means that Virginia's going to end up losing. So as Bryce goes, Virginia goes.
Yeah. Okay. Like I said, last year, man, I watched the kid. He got hurt. I forgot exactly what he hurt. I know he hurt something on his leg, but he came back and he was favoring, but he was still, man, he doing RPOs, throwing slants.
But here's the thing, and a lot of people don't give Virginia his credit. They produce some good quarterbacks.
Yeah,
because before Bryce, but Kurt being Kurt, we got Kurt being Kurt. He a third stringer, but most,
Didn't Schaub come from Virginia?
Yeah, Schaub came from Virginia.
Okay, yeah.
Guess what? Vic Cousin, you remember Aaron Brooks? He went to Virginia.
He did.
And somebody else too that in more recent years too.
Everybody, y'all don't remember the Magic Man, Ron Majowski, back in the 80s?
Don Magic was from Virginia.
Yeah, he went to Virginia.
Green Bay?
Yeah,
I remember the Magic Man. I'm a little older than yeah, of course I remember the Magic Man up in Green Bay with the long blonde hair.
Yep.
Yeah, they've had some good quarterbacks come through there, and Bryce is honest. I don't see Bryce making it at the next level, but he's obviously producing at the college level.
Hey, to be honest with you, he could if there's how the way these offensive coordinators now working this quote unquote new style. It's not a new style. It's the same thing June Jones and them running back in the 90s. But if I ain't mean to cut you off, Will, but if it's like these Cliff Kingsbury's and all these guys, Lincoln Riley's, they make a jump to the NFL, they gonna look at a kid like Bryce Perkins and say, hey, I need this guy on my team so he can run my offense.
And he might. Bryce is a great quarterback for Virginia. So Virginia is big on having a big mobile quarterback, and that's what Bryce is. I think he's like 6'3", 230, 240, which is, I think, pretty big. I just don't think he's fast. He's not fast like Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray. He doesn't have that wiggle that they have to run around and get out of the pocket and run. Now Bryce will get out of the pocket, and he gets out of the pocket a lot because I think one of the knocks against Bryce that I've seen is he takes it out of the shotgun and he'll look at one guy and maybe look at a second guy. But if those two guys aren't open immediately, he usually puts his head down and starts running, which it gets frustrating at times, but he has to do it because Virginia's offensive line is so beat up and so young that they're not giving him the time to sit back in the pocket and find somebody or throw somebody open. So he's constantly running for his life. And like you said, last year in the Georgia Tech game, he hurt his knee, and the beginning of this year he was wearing a knee brace up until either the UNC game or the Louisville game right before. It was the first time that we had seen in a long time that Bryce wasn't wearing that knee brace. So hopefully he's getting his quickness back and he can get out of the pocket and run. I don't know that he has the speed to be that elusive quarterback like Lamar or Kyler Murray. Maybe he's more of a Dak Prescott. I don't think he's as big as Dak Prescott, and I don't know that he has the arm strength that Dak Prescott has, but I think he's probably similar to that mold than a Lamar or Kyler Murray.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I guess this is a fitting question since you didn't want to talk about you guys' perspective getting to the AC to the championship game. How do you guys avoid looking ahead? Because, like you mentioned, the ACC Coastal is crazy. It's all over the place every year. Matter of fact.
So obviously, there's a little worry that Virginia will overlook Georgia Tech, just given that Georgia Tech is 2-6 or 2-7 this year, and obviously coming away from the triple option and moving to a different system where all their players aren't really used to that system. There's obviously a chance that they can overlook it. But my hope is, and Bronco Mendenhall has talked about it this week, saying that Virginia is basically in a playoff. They can, as most would say, they control their own destiny. So they have to take it. They truly do have to take it one game at a time, because if they beat Georgia Tech and then they beat Virginia Tech, nobody can catch them in the Coastal. And like you said, they're playing Clemson or Wake. Really, they're playing Clemson in the ACC title game. So I mean, I can't say that they won't overlook Georgia Tech. I'm hoping that they don't, and I'm hoping that Bronco Mendenhall, given his experience, I mean, he's been a coach now for 19, 20, and he's been at Virginia for 4 years. He can convince them not to look ahead. It's homecoming this weekend in Charlottesville, so hopefully that might mean something. I don't know if the football players even know or care that it is homecoming, but hopefully somebody tells them, and maybe the stadium's a little more packed since they're coming off that big win against UNC last week. Hopefully the stadium's packed and the team's ready to go and they take care of business against Georgia Tech.
Yeah. So the last thing I wanted to ask you, I'm a big rivalry guy.
Yeah.
And how important is the Virginia Tech rivalry? Like, how real is it? How important is it to the state, to the players, to the fans?
Well, first of all, it is real. I can't say that it's not clean old fashioned hate. It's not Georgia Tech. It's not Auburn, Alabama. That's mainly due to the fact of UVA being UVA. I mean, we're not in the SEC, and we don't have the tradition that the other teams do. Honestly, probably Virginia Tech would probably be happy if UVA did win every now and then, because maybe it would be more of a rivalry when we get more national attention.
Dang.
But within the state, it's a huge rivalry. When Virginia Tech was loaded in the late 90s with Vic, and they were, just rattling off win after win after win, it was big, and Virginia was always trying to punch up and try and catch Tech, and that allowed Tech to go into the eastern part of the state where a lot of the talent was coming out of, like Percy Harvin, and that was where Michael Vick came out of. Mm-hmm. When they were rolling, that was where they were getting all their talent from. And when Virginia Tech kind of fell off, that allowed those other teams from outside the state to come in and take those prospects, and it's allowed UVA to kind of get better also, because now these kids nowadays coming out of high school, I mean, they know that Virginia Tech has probably won 15 in a row. They know that just because everybody says it. But they see UVA has gone to a bowl now for 3 straight years, and Virginia Tech is struggling. Fuente might not last the season. So, I mean, it's obviously helping in recruiting. There's that old saying of it's not really a rivalry if one team's the only team winning. And I can't blame y'all for saying, I can't blame anybody in the national media or anybody for saying that, because UVA hasn't held up their end of the bargain. But UVA fans love it. We hate Virginia Tech. It's kind of we think of them as little brothers because they only have football. They've never won a national championship in anything.
And you got go ahead.
And I mean, we won 2 this past year alone in lacrosse and basketball, and we've rattled off soccer championships. We've won baseball. So I mean, it's kind of one of those things of, well, yeah, what about football though? That's Virginia Tech's main comeback, and we can't say anything because they always do it. I mean, the last 2 years, we've thought going into the game that UVA had a legit chance at winning, and even last year they did. They just something about that game, man. Something happens, and it turns on UVA, and UVA ends up losing. I've been a fan now I didn't grow up a UVA fan, but I ended up going to high school in Virginia, and that's how I went to UVA. So I've literally, as a UVA fan, never seen UVA beat Virginia Tech in football, and it is so depressing. Wow. I've never seen it. This year they stand a good chance, so hopefully the tides turn this year and they get it done.
Here's another thing I want to mention too, as far as like Virginia, getting as far as the recruitment goes. Maryland, I think Maryland, Virginia Tech, not Virginia Tech, West Virginia. And you can also add Pitt into that category as well, as far as why Virginia is getting the recruitment is getting now than it was prior. A lot of people don't remember, but Maryland used to be in the ACC.
Right.
They left the ACC for the Big Ten. All right. So as a player, as a high school player, you know, back then you say, okay, cool, I get to play like Miami, Florida State, Clemson, and you go from playing teams like that, and you say, oh man, I got to play Michigan State, I got to play Minnesota, I got to play all these cold, you know, locations. So now they say, okay, well, I stay, you know, Virginia's not that far from Maryland, so I can just go to Charlottesville. All right. So in West Virginia, we know that program, they went to the Mountain West. All right. And before that, no, they was in the Mountain West, but now they're in the Big 12. Now they're in the Big 12. So, you know, when teams change conferences, that can mess up their recruitment. It can be a positive, but it can also be a negative too. So.
Yeah. And like you said, we've taken away some things from them, but we've had to worry about, like, Penn State's getting better now, so Penn State is starting to come in and take the recruits out. Florida has done it. Florida State's done it. Clemson's now doing it. So I think recruiting's more of a national thing now than it ever has been. So we'll see where it goes. But getting back to the Virginia Tech rivalry, if we could somehow win and give me what it actually looks like, that'd be great.
I don't care if Penn State's ranked number 1. I never give Penn State its respect after what they pulled. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
like you never gonna come back from that, man. I'm sorry. Man. They should have just went on to just cancel the whole football program, in my opinion.
Yeah. Don't get me started. Yeah. Don't get me started. Yep. But just to throw it out there real quick before we wrap up, Will.
Yep.
How you feel about Liberty?
The school, the football, what are we talking about?
Yeah, football, the football program at Liberty. Like, do they matter? Do you care?
No, they don't matter. The school in general doesn't matter. They want to be Notre Dame. They got a lot of things going on there that shouldn't be going on, and it's to be honest, it's gross. I definitely don't associate myself with it. But no, they don't. I mean, right now they don't matter. It would be obviously embarrassing if UVA somehow lost to them. Hopefully they don't lose to them. But yeah, I mean, hiring Hugh Freeze is a joke. Bringing in that Baylor AD to be their AD is a joke. It's just, it's bad enough that they're in Virginia and I have to be associating with them that way.
The reason I asked is I actually took a group of kids on a visit to Liberty, and I sat in Hugh Freeze's office at Liberty and talked to him and the AD.
Double S.
What?
Stevenson session.
I said a group of kids. I didn't see where they were from.
Thank you. So don't try to play like I'm slow, man. I know what you're talking about. All right, so let's go ahead and do the predictions, man. We got to get the predictions out the way. All right, I already know ain't nobody in the chat, man. Where are these tech people at? Like, man, they must be somewhere studying or something. Like, come on, man.
I think because we did the show early, you know what I'm saying? Normally it's 9, so they'll watch it later.
No, man, they're celebrating their basketball victory last night over NC State still.
I know, right? Like, that
was it. That's huge.
They do that, yeah. And UGA freshman went off. The freshman for UGA I forget his name. Anthony Edwards or whatever. He went off yesterday too. I forget his name. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to say Virginia 33-14 over Tech.
All right, I'm going to say Virginia 35, Tech 17. 35-17.
Okay. I can't pick against Virginia in this as much as my heart tells me to, just because picking Virginia is a dumb move on my part, because now I'm on record of saying Virginia's going to win and they'll probably lose. But
man, come on. You got it bad, Will. You've been scarred.
Yeah. Hey, man, that's what 28-3 does to you. 28-3, losing to a 16 seed. Yeah. So here's what I think. I think Virginia's defense, they're hurt right now. They're playing better, and they're one of the better defenses that Georgia Tech's going to face. They're not the best, but they are one of them. I think Georgia Tech will probably end up scoring. I say 17 points, and I think Virginia probably ends up scoring with 27 to make it 27-17. I don't think Virginia's going to cover, but I do think they win mainly off the backs of turnovers. I think Georgia Tech ends up, and I think UVA wins the turnover battle, something to like 3-1, maybe 2-0, and that's really the turning point of the game. Is Virginia's able to capitalize on those turnovers and make them hurt, and that's what gives them the victory.
Hey Don, you know what? Will has a case of
what?
He got a bad case of Atlanta fan.
Nah, you ain't kidding.
Yep.
He got a bad case of Atlanta fan.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so Will, once again, let them know where they can check you out at and where they can find you at.
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter at willc_45. That's my Twitter handle. I write for streakingthelawn.com. We're a blog on SB Nation, so you need any UVA basketball or UVA football news, just come check us out and read what we got going on there.
All right. Appreciate you coming on, man. We may end up, having you on again. We may not talk about Virginia, but we probably talk about the Hawks or Braves or something like that, especially the Hawks, because we want to get some more intel on Hunter.
Okay. Yeah, I'd gladly come talk about the Hawks' new stretch 3/stretch 4. He's going to play great defense. He's going to hopefully drain some threes for us.
Look. The man is already. He don't even look like a rookie. He's not even like playing like a rookie right now. He's playing like he been in the league for some years.
Yeah.
So
well, he's got Trae Young feeding him the ball, which is a great thing. So I think Hunter could be. I don't know if he'll be a Hall of Famer, but I hopefully he's an All-Star once or twice with him and Trae Young.
Yeah, I'll take that.
You keep forgetting about Cam Reddish, but I know it's Duke, so
yeah, man, I'm not gonna give Duke any love. No, it's about how DeAndre Hunter fits in with Trae Young and the rest of the half the Maryland squad that they have going on in Atlanta right now.
He didn't even mention. Yeah, he didn't even mention Collins, Wake Forest.
Collins. Oh yeah,
all the
boys are ACC.
Yep,
boys.
except for Trae Young. Yep, Trae Young, the only person that's not ACC. Wow. Anyway.
All right, well, thanks again for joining us, man. And certainly we won't be a stranger. I'm gonna check you out on Twitter as well, and we'll definitely have you back on to talk some Braves or some Hawks or Braves and Hawks
and Falcons.
Hey,
and Falcons. That's right.
Yeah. We'll talk about that dumpster fire. Let me know when you want to come talk about that, and I'll catch you guys later.
All right, thanks.
All right, guys. I appreciate it. Everybody in the chat, appreciate y'all coming on, joining us live. I know we talking about tech, so we really don't get enough tech, man. We got to promote ourselves to the tech fan base, man, because it should be a lot. It should be a little bit more people in the chat, man. It should be. Yeah. All right. Hey, hit up Instagram too if you can, man. But yes. And if everybody's watching this at a later time, appreciate y'all tuning in, listening to this. Everybody know that we're on Twitter at FILA_SP. Instagram, FILA Sports Podcast, and on Facebook, FILA Sports Podcast. We're also on Spotify and Google Play. Forever I Love Atlanta Sports Podcast. You type it in, just like I said it'll pull up. We're still working on getting on iTunes, so we're gonna get on there eventually. Just bear with us. We will be back this Sunday. We will, be back during halftime of the Falcons and Aints game. We'll probably have on. I'm gonna try to get Dave from Sports Live in the ATL. Have him come on and do a cameo for the halftime. We can preview the first half, and then later on that night we're gonna bring on Jay Riddle from the Unrelegated podcast to talk about Atlanta United, how we fell short in the MLS Eastern Conference Finals. So join us Sunday. We'll be back. In the meantime, y'all already know what to do. What? At your hometown sports podcast. All right. We'll see y'all Sunday. Y'all have a great evening. See you.